What's up, guys? Mindless again. Wanted to share some more pieces out of my collection today. And last few videos I've been doing a lot of kind of showcasing certain makers, and I wanted to stick to that for a little bit longer, for a few more videos, because I think it's important to know, or a lot of people are interested in, who are these gentlemen, who are these artists that are crafting these amazing blades. So today we're going to take a look at a pretty amazing maker in my opinion, and in the opinion of a lot of people, Mr. Peter Carey. So grab three pieces that I think represent his work well, and a couple of them are pretty rare stuff. I'm sticking to the trend on my channel of showing more difficult to acquire pieces. So we'll talk about Peter and who he is and how long he's been doing it and all that good stuff in a second, but let's take a look at the knives and see what we have in front of us. So we have, I picked three different models, and I guess let's start with this one. This is the most common I think you'd see out in the world. This is called the 50/50, and it's basically his Peter's user grade. It's basically a mid-tech, but honestly it's really not. It's called a 50/50 because it's 50% handmade, 50% machine made, and Peter has commissioned machine shops in the United States, so it's US made, to help him make this mid-tech and basically deliver a killer piece to the masses at a more obtainable price. So looking at a wicked blade. Now Peter's knives are all very large, very comfortable, and they're very well known for their action. I don't know if it translates, but take a listen to this. It has a very clear two-step click on the open, on deployment. Looking at micarta handles, acid stonewash blade. There's Peter's maker's mark and the 50/50 logo. Sorry about that, I got a little nick in there, but this is the piece that I would carry of the three that you're looking at. Not to say that I wouldn't carry the other two, but this one I would carry and use a little more easily. Great backspacer. There's Peter's pocket clip. So that's the 50/50 model. The next one is the beginning of like the rarer stuff. This is the Nitro model, and this is a one-off, very rare. We'll start with the blade. It's Chad Nichols Starfire Damascus. Absolutely beautiful grind. Check out how complex that is. Beautiful steel. It's a liner lock. The bolsters are Mokame. The handles are lightning strike carbon, and all of these pieces came with his own bead that he created, so he crafted himself. And again, this was from the Tactical Knife Invitational of 2015. So, but take a listen. That same two-step click action is absolutely amazing. Beautiful piece. Beautiful piece. Really honored to have this one. If you take a look at the back, you'll see that the liners are titanium. They've been anodized like a gold color. Then a sandwich of lightning strike with a piece of Mokame down the middle. Take a look at these bolsters, guys. Pivot collar is also lightning strike, so that's pretty difficult to do. Really great piece. And the bottom one is probably the rarest. This is a prototype called the Seeker, and this was also from the Knife Invitational, the Tactical Knife Invitational. It's actually, the cornerstone is the model, but the blade grind or shape is called the Seeker, and that is the prototype. You're looking at a lizard Damascus blade and bolsters, top and bottom, with a beautiful carbon fiber center. It's also a liner lock. Take a look at that pivot as well. Absolutely beautiful. What makes this one special, obviously it's special, but we have a superconductor pivot and a superconductor dragon is what he calls a dragon scale backspacer. So this is a one-off, absolutely probably the rarest one I've seen. I'm really, really, really honored to own this. The blade shape was actually done with the help of a fellow collector, and I didn't clear with him to mention his name, but you know who you are. We'll just use his first name of Jeff, who worked with Peter to make this blade style, and it's absolutely gorgeous. Take a look at that. Grind. Stunning. And the Damascus is stunning. So I oiled the blade, but the bolsters need to be oiled as well. Now, what makes this extra special is that this piece right here, this cutout was done manually. It was not done with a CNC. And that's what Peter's very well known for doing everything by hand. So let's talk a little bit about Peter Carey, what he's all about. And forgive me if my information is not 100% correct. This is all from asking people about him and, you know, stories that I've been told over the years that I've been collecting. But I think it'll give you a good idea of what he's all about and what goes into making these absolutely stunning, stunning examples, stunning knives. Action, again, I gotta mention on this piece, amazing. I mean, look at that. Just wicked, wicked. So Peter's been around. He's like a lot of makers, like the guys that can do this type of work. He's been around for a while. So he's been making knives since the mid 90s. I've heard 1995. I've heard 1997. It doesn't really matter. It's been a long time. And he basically started out in California, where I'm at. And the guy was a machinist. So he grew up, or he kind of learned how to use these machines, these manual machines, from his real life job, and began to use that skill that he learned, that knowledge set, to make amazing, amazing pieces. So he's very well known as a 100% handmade maker. He doesn't mess around with CNC or any of that kind of stuff on his customs. And one of his most famous traits, I guess you'll see on all his knives, it's called the Peter or the Carey custom pivot, is how people say it. He makes all these pivots on every knife himself. So even on the Nitro or on the 50/50, you'll notice that it is a custom pivot, which is not too common even on mid-techs. So a lot of pride in his work. You could tell the attention to detail is absolutely there. Gorgeous, gorgeous stuff. So he makes a lot of models. Over the years, he's created quite a few different models. You'll hear the names like the Nitro, Cornerstone, the Tension, Rubicon, the Gordo. There's a whole bunch more than that even. And at some point along the way, you know, living in California making knives, he and his family decided to move to Texas and become a full-time knife maker. But before that, and kind of you need some justification to do that and give up your regular job and become a full-time knife maker. He was within like 3-4 years of starting to make knives, he had already begun to win awards. And out in California, we have you know, like a SoCal knife show, the Plaza Cutlery Show, and basically, right around the beginning of the 2000s, Peter was already winning best folder, best tactical folder at the knife expos around here, and quickly was gaining a reputation as a top tier maker. So around the mid 2000s, he decided to move to Texas and go full time. And ever since then, he hasn't looked back. He utilizes a stock removal method, so he's getting like raw materials and then cutting them down himself. No CNC, no wired EDM. He's doing it all by hand. And his knives have become probably one of the most collectible pieces in the higher end, you know, collectible arena. Now, this is the crazy thing. So I've been collecting for a few years, and in that time, you know, certain makers are loved by people and certain makers are not, or they make pieces that are kind of polarizing. So some people love them, some people don't. You know, I did a video on Tom Mayo last week, and you know, I absolutely love his knives, but not everybody loves those blade styles or those handle styles. When it comes to Peter Carey, I have never heard anybody say they don't like his knives. It's a universal thing that collectors, no matter how serious they are, always appreciate Peter Carey's knives. And even amongst knife makers, I've had the chance to speak with other makers, designers, Tashi, all these guys, that it's kind of, everybody says the same thing about Peter's knives, that the action's amazing and the build quality is second to none. And I have to agree. I mean, if you look at the tolerances of his pieces, you'll know very quickly that he has an eye for detail that is kind of unrivaled. Look at the pivot collar in Superconductor, how perfectly round it is, meaning there's no thicker parts of the circle. The spacing is perfect all the way around. The Damascus that he chose is perfect, and the grinds are perfect. And keep in mind, this is all done by hand. It's kind of amazing. It truly is. Even this part right here, most people when they cut something out like this, that's done with the help of a computer assisted machine. He uses something called a pantograph, so it's an older machine, but it's done by hand, and he's able to cut out this portion right here and then match up the carbon fiber. And guys, literally, let me see if I can get it in here. There is no gap between it. You cannot feel anything. Unbelievable. Even on the back bolster, just unbelievable. You can see the inside of the Superconductor there. Lockup is extremely early. Guys, I mean, honestly, if you ever have the chance to handle a Peter Carey, you have to do it. I think what jumps out at people right away is the action. That's first and foremost. I mean, that's it. There's no blade play. I can't tighten this anymore. I don't need to. There's zero blade play, and the blade falls just like that. And now, keep in mind, I know that these are rarer examples. These were open bid pieces at the Tactical Knife Invitational from this past year. So they are, he pulled out all the stops and went full bore here. But it's the same for his 50-50 for the mid-tech. And I hate to call it a mid-tech because it's really not. This is obviously the custom, but this piece down here is better than most custom makers' customs. Everything is absolutely perfect. Tolerances, again, absolutely perfect. Check out this Mokame he used. And the pivot collar in Lightning Strike, how well done that's done and executed. Absolutely stunning. The grind as well. Perfectly symmetrical. And there again is the pocket clip in Lightning Strike. Just a gorgeous, gorgeous piece. Tolerances are just unbelievable. Unbelievable. So, obviously this guy's been doing it for decades now, about 20 years. And in that time, his reputation has grown. His pieces are in high demand, especially the custom stuff. And recently he has a model called the Cayman. It's kind of like a Tonto blade. And he teamed up with Spyderco, and they've made a Rubicon like a Tonto, and it's a hugely popular production knife. So he's got his hands in production, mid-tech, and full customs. Amazing stuff. And not only that, now his son, I think his kid's name is Kyle, is now involved in making knives with him. But guys, I can't impress upon you how perfectly done these are and how they feel in hand. These are larger knives. They're very tactical. Jimping on all of them is absolutely useful. And again, I'm always going to come back to the action. And the sound on open. I think that's what really pushes it over the edge. There you go. And remember that, Peter is not a new maker by any means. His first folders, I think 2000 was his first folder, the year 2000. And by 2002, he was winning awards. So I know he got the Best Amateur Knife Award, the Best Folder Award in show, Best in Show Folder about a year or two after making his first folder. So his knowledge that he's picked up, you know, from his day-to-day job as a machinist has translated over here and allowed him to do some really, really amazing stuff. Look at the grind on this thing. Absolutely stunning. And again, I'm going to keep coming back to it. The action. The smoothest action around. Focus. Absolutely, absolutely beautiful. This piece to me, now specifically this knife, is to me the ultimate Peter Carey. I absolutely, absolutely love this piece. Unbelievable. I mean, when this became available with the superconductor, I mean, the use of materials is amazing. If you take a look at the file work, the shaping of the back spacer. He calls it, I think he's calling it a dragon spine back spacer. Absolutely gorgeous. And then again, mirroring that piece of superconductor in the pivot collar. Gorgeous. And this is a heavy knife. I mean, it's Damascus everywhere. He's using it in the bolsters too, but Jesus, right? Unbelievable. And again, back to the action. Gorgeous. Absolutely beautiful. Let's take a look at it up close so you can see the details in the Damascus. Gorgeous. And forgive me, there's a little bit of stuff in there. With Damascus, it's important to oil the blades. It's not always necessary, but if you really want to see the contrast in the etching at the highest, you need to kind of oil them down a little bit. I haven't done that on the bolsters. To be honest with you, I don't carry this knife. It's too beautiful. Absolutely perfect. Take a look at this carbon. All you see are my fingerprints on it. No voids. Gorgeous, gorgeous piece. Look at it from the back. Absolute perfection. Even the spacing between the two materials on the back, symmetrical on both sides. Pocket clip done in the Damascus as well. And the action. I, like many fellow my collectors, absolutely love Peter's work. All the knives are big. He has a smaller model called the Gordo now, but these full-size models are 4-inch blades plus. They are the epitome of tactical knives. Jimping on all of them, extremely useful. The frequency of the jimps are perfect. The thumb ramp too, perfect. The sweat, I mean, guys, honestly, you should have seen at this year's Blade show when Mr. Carey was doing his lottery and was calling the names, the crowd that was around. It was literally hundreds of people deep, all vying for maybe, I don't know, 10 knives. And they weren't even as crazy as these examples that I'm showing today. At the at the Tactical Knife Invitational, they pull out the stops. The makers pull out the stops, and this past year at TKI, Peter just went over the top, and I'm really lucky to own two of the two craziest, the two most custom pieces from this year's TKI. These two, and they were both open bid. Again, they're so gorgeous. You really can't justify carrying it unless you're going out, but they're so heavy it doesn't really make sense. And I think Peter understands that, so he came out with this piece. The stonewash hides so many scratches, and it's executed perfectly. Even the grinds on this. These grinds are done by Peter himself in his shop. So he machines all the stuff outside. He outsources the machining. They're all sent to his shop where they're assembled and then contoured. All the fit and finish is done under his control. And you get something like this. And for mid-tech, they're not cheap, but like I said, they're better than most makers' custom models, and he considers this a mid-tech. So, and even on these, again, it's all about the action. The sound, guys, is what I think you'll notice. Pay attention to the sound if you ever get a handle on one of these pieces. So, If you ever have, I say this often, and I know a lot of people do, but if you ever have the opportunity to score one of Peter's knives, you should absolutely do it. You will not regret it. I've handled many more than these, and I've never felt anything other than perfection when handling his pieces. The centering is perfect, but the action is what it's all about. We'll take a look at these one more time before we wrap up. Absolutely beautiful. Oh, Peter's books are closed. You know, he's out in Texas. You can call him. The best way to score new pieces from Mr. Carey are lotteries at knife shows, or through dealers. And if you want to score any pieces that are at this level of customization with these type of exotic materials, you're going to have to do it through open bids or auctions at the various shows around town. But really, this is the one I got to show off to you. This is my prized Peter Carey. After I got this, it was like, that's it. I don't need any more. And to collaborate with an actual collector to make this blade shape, that's a cool maker, you know. He's listening to his fans. He knows who's buying his pieces, and he's open to suggestion. And what you've got here is something truly amazing, in my opinion. So that's the Nitro. This is the Cornerstone with the Seeker blade prototype. That's the 50/50. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. And I want to thank you guys again for stopping in and supporting the channel. Let me know, keep an eye on my Instagram. Let me know if there's any other makers you want me to continue doing this. I have a plan of doing maybe 2 or 3 more. I'm just trying to showcase certain makers that, I mean, you kind of hear their knives or you see them around once in a while, but I think it's really important that you know who they are, and maybe you'll understand why their pieces command such high prices, and justifiably so. Absolutely justifiably so. And this is the Carey 50/50. If you have any questions at all, please leave a comment below. I try to answer all of them, I really do. And if you have anything to add to Peter's bio, and there's not too much out there on the web about him, please drop it in the comments. We'll learn from each other. But again, thanks for stopping in and checking out another one of my videos. I really appreciate it. I truly do, guys. It really means a lot to me. And I'll see you guys on the next vid. Take it easy.